talking about the ceasefire, and usually I pronounce ceasefire in heavy inverted commas, because honestly, as far as I can see, the most that it has done has given Europe and the United States a chance to retreat from any efforts to censure Israel for what's happening. And you have to bear in mind that in September, the United Nations released, OHCR released a report that said that Israel was committing genocide. Apparently, it really doesn't matter. Now, Tariq's points were vital, but I'm a tiny bit more tentative about the possibility of Arab unity, not because I don't think it's imperative, because I do, but because I think that there is a significantly more complicated net of proxies and priorities involved. Now, unfortunately, Israel does not exist in a vacuum. None of us exist in a vacuum. And it must be said that much of the world has been complicit in what's happening, and that the United States has given Israel just enormous and unfettered support for what it's done. Now, I mean, again, for clarity, you want to bear in mind that just since December 18th, 2023, the US has used its veto to veto more than 45 resolutions concerning Israel and Palestine, mostly on the treatment of Israel and the status of Jerusalem. Now, that's the United States. On the other side, you have Europe, all right, and I'm including the United Kingdom in that. There is, understandably, a huge sensitive patch in Europe because of the treatment of Jews during World War II, but with the greatest of respect, you cannot offer up the Palestinians on the sacrificial altar of your penitence. You cannot excuse one genocide by being complicit in another, but again, that's what we have happening. Now, all of this is to say, for us to move, I mean, we're talking about reconstruction. Before we get to reconstruction, you have to have the political will, because nobody is going to pour money into reconstruction only to have it blown up again 2 years later. It just isn't going to happen, all right? Israel talks about normalization, but at the end of the day, it needs to decide whether it wants to be part of this region or whether it wants to continue on its track. And you might want to remember that Israeli Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich recently mentioned normalization with Saudi Arabia by saying, well, if they didn't want it, they could go back to riding their camels in the desert and we would go on with our economy and our development. It is not a comment you make about a country that you want to be a partner with, right? All of this leads to, I don't at the moment see the kind of unified global partnership that is going to result in a movement forward on this issue. I don't see the political will. Now, I hope I'm wrong, and there are other ways to get around it. I'll maybe leave that for round 2. But at the moment, I think that political will is tentative in the extreme. So I think Tariq makes an extremely important point. Let's start with the attempt to split Syria, all right? You can also look at the attempt to split Sudan. At the moment, we just had a massacre in Al-Fashir, and I wouldn't be surprised if there were an attempt to split Darfur again. And if you split Darfur, then you have to take Kordofan as well. So what you're looking at is an intense fragmentation in the region. It's one country after another. Now, if you're given to conspiracy theories, you can say, well, somebody wants a lot of smaller, more easily manageable countries, but in actual fact, smaller countries are not more easily manageable. They are significantly more difficult. But the problem is, again, you're talking about political will. And yes, while Israel is a matter of huge concern for some more than others, you also want to take a look at the political considerations, which is, at least for the Gulf is interested in tech and AI, which is not merely an interest, it is part of their DNA for their development. And tech and AI means the United States and Israel. And that is going to be taken into consideration, I believe, more than any immediate solution to Gaza, which means that you are going to have this fishbone in everyone's throat for quite a while.